2021 council meeting to order at 3:35 PM. Go to roll call. Let the record show 8 council members present. Mr. Bartholomew is absent. Start on the agenda.
Item 4, status report by the parish president. Nothing.
We don't have one.
Update by the charter directors, old business and new business.
Can we go to eleven? Where did you put the Coast Guard Road at? All right, can we go to that?
Item J, presentation on Coast Guard Road by George Pivach and Renee Cross. Councilmember Konovich.
Mr. Pivach?
Oh, you gotta get that. Mess up. Keep that as strong. Well,
Yes, Mr. Black.
yeah, before, as Mr. Peabody is getting ready, just have a question, because I'm not sure what Mr. Peabody is gonna say that I haven't already heard 100 times, nor Mr. Burris. I just wish that this council will come and make a decision on this issue, because I mean, this has been ad nauseum for a long time. And I don't necessarily think that everything has to go before a judge to get a declaratory judgment. I would like to just, I hope that at some point soon we can make a resolution and resolve this issue, because it's taken a lot of time up within this council. That's all I have to say.
Mr. Pivach?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council, administration. I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to appear before this body today, and also appreciate you moving us up where we are right now. The discussion we're going to have today is about Coast Guard Road. Coast Guard Road is a road located in Venice, Louisiana, within the Venice-Port complex. There are a number of businesses located on Coast Guard Road, and I presume most of you are familiar with Coast Guard Road. If not, in the cover letter I sent to everybody a packet. Now, I sent everybody a packet, which is a synopsis, and also a second packet, which has multiple documents attached. And I'm presuming, as council members, you've already received those documents, and hopefully you've had an opportunity to review those documents. And that's the presentation I'd like to go with today. There are a number of businesses located along Coast Guard Road. Some sites are vacant. We have Fabcon, we have Halliburton, we have R360, we have Cypress Cove Marina located off of Coast Guard Road. The Coast Guard itself has a location off of Coast Guard Road, and so does Stone Oil have a location off of Coast Guard Road. And the presentation I have before you on the larger document shows the history of Coast Guard Road as I've been able to put it together, because I wasn't around in the early 60s and 70s. Well, I was around, but I wasn't around as attorney for the Venice-Port complex. As early as 1964, the Coast Guard sought to move from its long-standing location in Port Eads at the mouth of the river and establish a new base of operations in Venice. The Coast Guard required a new base to have hard surface public road providing access to the Coast Guard base. On exhibit number 1, January of 1965, there's correspondence between the Coast Guard and the parish. The parish acknowledged the Coast Guard had approved the exchange of Port Eads Coast Guard property for an agreeable plot of ground in Lower Venice along Tiger Pass. The letter noted that the fact that the parish would undertake to construct a hard surface road on the property to be conveyed to the Coast Guard, and that should be taken in consideration. And this hard surface road would go from existing Tidewater Road, which is a public road, to the Coast Guard facility, which was located on Tiger Pass. That's about 3,400 linear feet of the area from Tidewater Road to the Coast Guard facility. And that's shown on page 1 of your exhibit. In March of '65, a few months later, in furtherance of the agreement with the Coast Guard, the parish and the Louisiana Fruit Company, my client, also known as the Vennersport Complex, entered into an unrecorded side agreement which stated the parish and Louisiana Fruit agreed to assist the Coast Guard in obtaining a parcel of ground suitable for the base operations, and that parcel of ground must have access to a hard surface public road. That's shown on page 4 of your exhibit and also on page 5 of your exhibit. And if you look at page 5 on the exhibit, it makes reference that the Louisiana Fruit would provide at no cost to the parish a suitable easement of servitude not in excess of 120 feet in width over the area designated for the location of the new road to the 8.8 acre tract, which was to be the Coast Guard facility. Page 7 also refers to the side agreement and indicates that part of the consideration is the granting of the property by the Louisiana Fruit Company and the construction of the hard surface road. On Exhibit 3, in April of 1966, almost over a year later, in compliance with the side agreement, the parish acquired the 8.89 acre tract from the Louisiana Fruit Company, and that's recorded in COB 307 folio 404 for $1,000 and other valuable consideration. The other valuable consideration being partially or primarily the construction of a road to the Coast Guard facility, which would benefit property owned by the Louisiana Fruit Company, property that's now on both sides of the existing Coast Guard road. Page 4 also indicates it's going to be a hard surface public road. Pursuant to the side agreement, the parish would then transfer part of the 8.8 acre tract of land to the Coast Guard for its base operations. The side agreement also indicated that the Louisiana Fruit Company would furnish at no cost to the parish the servitude I referred to over the area designated in the agreement. Additionally, the side agreement acknowledged that there were squatters on the part of the 8.8 acre tract, and the Louisiana Fruit would work with the parish to have those squatters removed. If you look at Exhibit 3, page 21 of the larger exhibit, it actually shows Coast Guard Road going from Red Pass and Tidewater Road through the 8.8 acre tract, which was to be the Coast Guard facility. And it shows proposed Coast Guard Road. In July of 1967, the parish entered into a purchase agreement for the tract known as the Port Eads tract, which is the same tract that we now all know as Port Eads, which was owned by the United States of America in consideration for the parish conveyance or transfer to the United States of the property known as the Venice tract, the 8.8 acre tract located at the end of Coast Guard Road. Pursuant to the terms and conditions of the proposed sale, it was agreed the parish would, at its expense, construct a public road to provide access from Tidewater Road to the Venice tract. So in addition to the agreement entered into between the Louisiana Fruit Company and the parish that there would be a public road provided on Coast Guard Road, it was the United States government's understanding that a public road would be installed, constructed by the parish as part of the consideration for the United States of America transferring Port Eads to the parish, and the parish would then take a portion of the Coast Guard tract that it had acquired from the Louisiana Fruit Company and would transfer it to the Coast Guard. And that's what occurred, and that's where the existing Coast Guard station is located. 2 years later, in September of 1969, advertisements for bids were received by then-President Shalom Perez, and a contract was executed with Gaines P. Wilson and Sons for the construction of Coast Guard Road. So now we're in 1969. The Louisiana Fruit Company, my client, had transferred the tract to the parish with the understanding that a public road would be installed by the parish as part of the consideration. And then the parish had entered into the agreement with the United States of America to transfer Port Eads to the parish, and parish would take a portion of the property provided by the Louisiana Fruit Company and transfer it to the Coast Guard for the Coast Guard station. But first, the United States government required that the road be constructed, and that was the contract with Gaines that was executed in 1969. Also, if you look in your packet on exhibit number 6, there's some notes from the congressional hearing indicating that there was an agreement going on with the parish and the United States government to provide for the transfer of property and construction of Coast Guard Road, and that is shown on page 38. Coast Guard Road was completed pursuant to Exhibit 8 on June 17, 1970. Road was completed, constructed by Gaines at the cost of the parish, providing the public road that was agreed to between Louisiana Fruit Company and the public road that was agreed to with the United States of America. A week later, the transfer occurred. So on June 24th, 1970, 1 week after the parish satisfied its obligation to construct a hard surface public road, the parish, United States, entered into an act of exchange which the Coast Guard conveyed approximately 62 acres, port deeds, in exchange for the approximate 4 acres of the Venice tract. The parish had received 8.8 acres from the Louisiana Fruit Company, but was only transferring 4 of those acres to the Coast Guard in exchange for the 60-something acres, which was port deeds. This occurred, as shown on page 40, after the public road was constructed and completed. At that point, the deal was done. The parish received port deeds. Yes, the parish received port deeds. The Coast Guard received 4 acres of the 8-acre tract. The parish still at that time owned the remaining 4 acres of the 8-acre tract. Coast Guard Road had been constructed by the parish, and everything went forward. From 1970 until 1971, I should say, until recently. I began representing Louisiana Fruit Company in 2005. At that time, there are 3 roads within the Venice Port Complex: Halliburton Road, which is a private road maintained by the Louisiana Fruit Company; McDermott Road, also a private road; and then Coast Guard Road. It was my understanding all along that Coast Guard Road was a public road. And in researching some records as provided by the parish, when this particular issue came up, you can continue with this summary and also with the exhibits attached. For example, in 1984, the parish appropriated $140,000 to overlay and widen Coast Guard Road using public funds on a public road. In 1984, additional funds were used to construct and repair Coast Guard Road. In 1990, emergency authorization was given to the parish president to place shells and road materials on Coast Guard Road. That's exhibit number 13. And I'll go through these quickly. May 1990, exhibit 4, a budget of $150,000 would be transferred from revenue sharing funds for the improvement and repair of Coast Guard Road. Again, in 1994, exhibit number 16, funds were expended for the repair and maintenance of Coast Guard Road. May 26, 1994, Exhibit 17, $3,000, repair Coast Guard Road. 1994, Exhibit 18, the parish, along with the Coast Guard, was seeking funding to be able to make improvements on Coast Guard Road, a public road. A local government would not be seeking funding to improve a private road. May 1998, $100,000 was appropriated by this government to overlay Coast Guard Road. That was exhibit number 19. 2001, exhibit 20, shows additional funding used to repair the road. Also at that time, if you look at that particular exhibit, Cypress Cove Marina was constructed in the mid-90s. Mr. Rene Cross is here today to talk about what he undertook during that time period to be able to secure funding to provide adequate access on the public road, Coast Guard Road, to the Cypress Cove Marina. July 15, 2010, Exhibit 4, seeking funds from BP to do work within the existing road and servitude easements owned by the parish on Coast Guard Road. March 14, 2011, Exhibit 22, funds again were used to repair Coast Guard Road. November 2nd, 2012, and I can go on with additional time periods where public funds were used to maintain and repair Coast Guard Road from its initial construction in the early 1970s until now. Grants were sought, as shown by the exhibits, for funding to improve Coast Guard Road. Grants were sought through FEMA to try to raise Coast Guard Road. There are plans and specifications that the parish has in hand that were paid for to provide for the raising of Coast Guard Road. So everything that I presented to you today and the follow-up since the early 1971 indicates that Coast Guard Road was initially intended to be a public road, has continued to be treated by the parish as a public road. One of the exhibits also shows that the parish list of streets in 2012 shows Coast Guard Road as a public road. So I'm here today to present to the full council this information, the bulk of which I received from your internal records pursuant to a public records request. As indicated by Councilman Black, this issue came up a couple of years ago as to whether Coast Guard Road was a public road or a private road. It arose as a result of repairs being needed on Coast Guard Road because there were certain potholes that were developing. At that point was the very first time that I had heard, since coming on board in 2005, that there was any question as to whether Coast Guard Road was a public road or a private road. And that's when I sought to seek gathering the information, which resulted in a meeting in August of last year, of 2020, with Councilman Konovich was unable to attend, but I met with the parish president. I believe Danny Garrett was there, and parish attorney were there when I presented them with this exact same information. And we haven't moved the needle much within that 1 year period. So I requested Councilman Konovich to put this up for discussion today so we can make the presentation to the entire council and then answer any questions the council may have as it relates to the documents provided or any other question you may have as it relates to Coast Guard Road, because we need to move forward on the determination, and we would request that the determination be made as soon as possible that Coast Guard Road is a public road. If it requires a servitude agreement acknowledging everything that was done in the prior documents, I've offered to do that. We just need to get off of dead center to have Coast Guard Road shown as a public road rather than a private road. There are multiple businesses. The Coast Guard Road needs to be raised. The Louisiana Fruit Company, Ventusport Complex has a lobbyist on board. We've engaged the lobbyist to try to seek some federal funding, any kind of funding that would be available to be able to raise Coast Guard Road. But that's not the issue before the council today. The issue before the council is whether Coast Guard Road is a public road or a private road. And since especially it's been considered a public road from 1970 until 2 years ago. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Administration? Thank you.
Let me ask Mr. Ray Cross will get up and speak a little bit on this issue also. And the ask.
Mr. Blink?
Sure. I understand how much of a problem the flooding on Coast Guard Road, the potholes are. I'm taking all my business down to the Venice Marina due to that. It's just, Cypress Cove is unusable for my purposes, sometimes as much as half a year during flood years, even more. I think where some of my heartburn lies is we've had some folks that lease property down there that mentioned that there was road maintenance fees charged by Louisiana Fruit Company for the maintenance of Coast Guard Road. Is that true?
Untrue, Councilman Blink. I've expressed that on multiple occasions to multiple people. And I've never been asked that by you. So if you have a question about the Ventusport Complex, Louisiana Fruit Company, call me. I give you the true facts rather than scuttlebutt on the street.
It's a contract. It was in one of the company's contracts because I have a copy of it right here. Road maintenance fee and a drainage maintenance fee.
That's correct, Councilman Konovich. As I indicated earlier in the presentation, the Ventusport Complex has two private roads, Halliburton Road and McDermott Road.
This was for Coast Guard Road.
I understand that. If you let me finish, please. Okay? I'm not sure what contract you have in front of you. I don't know what particular contract that contract is with. The standard form of contract that we have with our various tenants has that language in it. Because for McDermott Road and Halliburton Road, a portion of the cost is transferred on to the various tenants who are located on those sites. So again, if someone had asked me about this prior to today, which I think actually we had that conversation,
Yeah.
Councilman Conovich. I indicated to you that this form contract may have it in it, but does not apply to Coast Guard Road. And if I may finish, as I indicated to you, I've been in this position since 2005, and to my knowledge, we've never collected a road maintenance fee from anybody who is located on Coast Guard Road. And I think Mr. Cross, who's been there since the early 1990s, prior to me, would also indicate to you that Cypress Cove Marina hasn't paid any road maintenance fees. So it may be in the contract.
The person I got this from rented it on Cypress, Coast Guard Road. He said if he has to, he'll pull up the canceled checks where he paid the road
And
maintenance.
then bring them to me do you have them with you today?
No, sir.
All right, well, I'll be more than happy to take a look at those canceled checks and any documentation you may have. But I can tell you, since 2005, I'm unaware of any collection because it's always been a position of the Ventusport Complex that it's a public road. And even if that's the case, that has nothing to do with the relationship between the parish and the government, that it's a public road and the agreements that were entered into back in 1970. But be that as it may, I'd like to see those documents, Councilman.
Mr. Blink?
Yeah, sure. I mean, just, it says right here, under leasees additional obligations to pay all costs of major repair to the access roads directly resulting from operation or acts of leasee, employees, invitees, or agents. I mean, it doesn't spell out Coast Guard Road, but that's the road that they were on.
What tenant was this?
I'm not bringing his name up right here. I'll tell you.
Well, Councilman Conovich, you know, if I'm going to be, my client's
It's on the bottom of the page, Mr. Pivac.
you know what, Councilman Black?
Very small print.
Myers, okay, yeah, I got it. Like now I know who it is now. All right. And I'll be more than happy to speak to that particular person if he'll provide me the documentation. And actually, I welcome the documentation, Councilman Conovich. And I would ask you also, if there's any questions you may have with the Ventusport Complex. I'm Vice President, General Counsel, been representing them since 2005. Any questions you may have, or any council person, anybody in administration, please call me. More than happy to discuss any needs you may have. And I hope I've solved some of your heartburn, Commissioner Blaine, because if not, let's talk about it some more.
Yeah, look, I want us to be productive and get the road raised and elevated. As you know, parish doesn't have a lot of funding. We have a lot of obligations. There are no residents on that road. It's a dead-end road surrounded by your business. And we do have a federal law enforcement agency at the end of it. We understand we have an obligation to them. I have spoken with members of the Coast Guard, and they're all openly talking about relocating due to the issue. So even if we do take ownership of the road, we might not necessarily be obligated to do the work. If all of this information has been compiled, I'm not sure what sort of action we need to take if it's apparent it's a public road.
Well, I can first comment on your comment. The raising of the road is something that's needed to be done. That's not what prompted the gathering of the information. What prompted the gathering of the information was whether it's a public or private road. And as I indicated to this council also, we have a lobbyist we've engaged. And part of what he's trying to do is try to seek funding for a raising of Coast Guard Road. And obviously, those funds would be much more available if it were for a public road, which we believe it's a public road. And I think also the document I provided to the attorneys. I've also provided some law to the attorneys. It's very clear to me that this is a public road. And again, I've offered to, on behalf of the Louisiana Fruit Company, Ventusport Complex, to execute a servitude agreement if that's what's needed to close it up. But when you make comments about there aren't any residents on the road, there are multiple businesses that pay ad valorem taxes, multiple businesses that pay sales tax, and employ quite a few people in this parish. But that has nothing to do with this issue today. But I wanted to respond to your comment about that. Thank you.
Certainly. I mean, it's something I understand. Again, I'm not going there because there is another option where, I don't have to have damages to my vehicle, that kind of thing. But I'm just trying to figure out what exactly are you seeking here? I mean, you want us to just adopt it as a public road? But, I mean, there is this seemingly large body of evidence that you compiled that says otherwise. I'm just not sure why the action is actually needed out of us.
Well, the action is this. The action requested is an acknowledgement that this is a public road, which all the evidence here and documents indicates it's a public road, or a servitude agreement to be signed to finally confirm that it's a public road. And then at that point, repairs can be made on the road. Because what prompted all of this was multiple people driving up and down the road and breaking axles, destroying rims, tires. Our concern is that someone's going to hit a hole, because when it rains, the holes are filled up. You don't see it. Somebody's going to get hurt. And then when somebody gets hurt, somebody's going to get sued. And so as a result of the standoff, I guess I can't think of another way to say it, that whether it's public or private, nothing's happening to the road except it's further deteriorating every year. So if we can have this to be a public road, we can work together to seek funding to be able to raise Coast Guard Road, to provide reasonable access to the businesses that are located on Coast Guard Road. And Councilman Blink, we'd welcome you back to the Cypress Cove Marina to do business.
I try to come when I can. You know, I just, for the life of me, I can't figure out if y'all are, you know, operating businesses back there, you know, why aren't y'all taking some action to try and secure the road to get it, you know, somewhat usable? It's kind of an all hands on deck situation right now in regard to, you know, parish infrastructure. We've got pumping stations that are, you know, if it weren't for the bird droppings and barnacles, they wouldn't be running, you know, and it's just, why hasn't a little bit of overlay happened down there over the pothole?
By whom?
Either Cypress Cove or your Louisiana Fruit Company.
The reason is that has legal consequences.
I'm sure we'd be happy to give you permission. Rennie, is that doable? To
Yeah.
give Mr. Pivach permission to patch Coast Guard Road to be a good corporate neighbor and help out?
Well, you know, we're happy to be a good corporate neighbor. We're looking for a good
Rennie?
corporate public body that's going to support us also.
Certainly. Rennie, could Mr. Pivach undertake that work with some sort of hold harmless agreement? Can we give him permission to do that?
Your question is, can we get permission for Mr. Pivach to repair the road?
Yes, to make the necessary
Well, if you're given permission, then you're basically assuming that it's a public road. And so you don't need to give permission if your position is that it's not a public road. And so, you know, according to where we stand today, Mr. Pivach can go fix the road, and, you know, there'd be nothing we could or would likely do about it, if that's the position of the council.
and just in your,
We weren't able to do that for legal reasons.
so in your
I've been
opinion,
involved in litigation similar to that situation in the past.
got it, I see. So, but in your opinion, Plaquemines Parish government does not own the road, and Louisiana Fruit is just simply giving Plaquemines Parish government permission to use it as a right-of-way, correct?
Well, look, to the extent that this is going to end up in litigation, I think it would be improper for me to go into a big legal discussion publicly about what my legal advice to you all would be. I've certainly had discussions with you all in executive session about this issue. I've sent emails to you all about this issue, and I've given you my thoughts. If we need to meet again and discuss it, I would be obviously more than willing to do that. But the ultimate decision rests with the council, or Mr. Pivach could potentially take us to court, and you would have a judge make that decision. Now, I don't know if he's prepared to do that. I don't know where you guys are with this, but it's a council decision. It's not a parish attorney decision or a president decision or anything like that.
We appreciate your insight.
The ask and the much preferred preference is that it be acknowledged and/or a servitude agreement be entered into with the parish and the Louisiana Fruit Company pursuant to the documents I presented to you. Once that's done, then the public-private issue can be resolved, and we can then work together to seek funding to improve Coast Guard Road for the benefit of the businesses located thereon, the employees who work in the area, and also tax dollars that are presently generated to the parish. So the ask is to bring it to a head, because the ask is for the council to vote. Do you say, yes, it's a public road, or no, it's a private road? And then once that decision is made, then we know where we stand. And at that point, the only option may be, as suggested by your attorney, a declaratory judgment, which is litigation, which I don't think anybody would really prefer to have to resolve an issue which, in our view, is pretty clear-cut. And in the meantime, litigation takes time, and what happens? Somebody's going to get hurt.
Mr. Black?
Yeah, so to Richie's point, and I agree with this, is that we don't have funding to do road repairs, even on roads that we clearly own. And as I do support having Coast Guard Road being a dedicated road of the parish. You know, I think it does support a lot of businesses, supports a federal government agency. and it seems pretty clear to me. However, I won't go into that. However, you do raise some question for me when you talk about litigation and people getting hurt on a road. So although I'm inclined to say, yeah, let's go to a vote and just adopt the road, under the condition that we would not be obligated to fix it because we just don't have the funding right now, but allow you and your lobbyists to then go ahead and look for funding from a grant to do so. Your comments kind of put us in a box where if we do adopt it and we say we're not going to fix it, we're going to just look for grant money, we're now kind of exposing ourselves to possible litigation because they have potholes and people are breaking axles and breaking rims and somebody's going to get hurt, like you said. So that kind of puts us in a jam.
Well, if I may comment on that, Councilman Black, if it's a public road, can my client contribute funds to help repair it? Absolutely. Can my client go do it right now? Can't. So one option would be, if it's a public road, could funds be raised to be able to put some repairs in the meantime? But this road, whether it's a public road, is like any other public road, whether you have funding for it or not. The concern is that a declaratory judgment may have to be brought, because if not, somebody's going to get hurt. And when somebody gets hurt, my client's going to get sued, and you're going to get sued. And then the court at that point is going to determine whether it's a public road or a private road. And that's not necessarily the best procedure to go about doing it. But if your concern is adopting a road that we believe is public and acknowledging that it's public, at that point, my client and or tenants can contribute some funding to help to make the repairs in the meantime, while we work together to seek funding for the raising or the full overlay of Coast Guard Road.
That should be the option.
So let's work together.
You know, and I can buy into that. If you guys can agree to provide some funding and resources to help repair where we don't have liability, or we don't have as much liability or risk on Coast Guard Road if we were to own it. I mean, as of right now, like Mr. Bureau said, his opinion, we don't own it. So if something happens and then your client gets sued by somebody who's passing by, then you'd have to seek a declaratory judgment, and, you know, the judge would decide who's at fault, right? And nobody wants to go through that whole process. You know, there are some other things. Now, if you were to say, in my opinion, look, you guys adopt that road, I have enough evidence, and I think it's, you know, a lot of evidence to say it is a parish road, we adopt it as a parish road, but we also have an agreement with you or whatever other businesses that are on there, or maybe your client, that if we adopt it, that you guys would provide resources and funding to help reduce the risk that we now incur by adopting it as a road, as a parish road.
Certainly, I would recommend to my client to contribute funds for the initial maintenance repair of Coast Guard Road.
Yeah.
But, and I'm not here to spar with you, Councilman Black, but it's a slippery slope to say, we'll make a road, we'll acknowledge a road as public if you put funds. That's a slippery slope with every other public road within the parish. So I'm not sure how we're going to proceed with that. And I'm also not sure, earlier comment that the parish attorney has rendered an opinion that it's a private road. I haven't seen it if it is, but I'll be more than happy to review it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I'm not sparring with you either by any means. I'm actually in support of making it a public road. But I mean, we don't own it now. At least no judge has said we do, and the parish attorney says we don't. So as of now, we don't have any liability. If we adopt it, then we incur that liability, which is a risk that the parish, you know, I don't think really wants to take. Now,
Let me correct a couple things. One is, I've never asserted with any certainty whether it's public or private. What we do know is that under the law, it's never been formally dedicated. The other three ways property is transferred to governmental entity is through statutory, it's implied, or it's tacit. And really, I think what we're talking about, and Mr. Peabody may disagree, I don't know, is a tacit dedication. And those dedications are based on facts, circumstances, and intent. And it's not a matter of reading a document and saying, oh, the Louisiana Fruit Company transferred this road to us, and it's been notarized, it's followed all the prerequisites required by the law, and it's like, boom, here it is, and I can show it to you and say, absolutely, this is a public road. What we have is 50, maybe 70-year history of things going on, the parish, and some of the documents saying some things, doing some things. But it's a factual case. It really boils down to what's happened over the course of that history, what the intent of the parties are, and what's happened. And in a case like this, I've been asked to basically make a decision that's really up for y'all to make. He's presented you with a bunch of documents, a bunch of information that makes the case that it's a tacit. I think he's primarily making the case that it's a tacit dedication, although he can make other arguments as well. And so that's what I've been saying. I haven't said publicly, and I certainly haven't said it's not public, it's private. I said it's a decision for the council to make based on its decision, based on what it wants to do. And all I can do is advise you as to what the facts say and what a potential likely outcome may or may not be in a court of law.
And I didn't mean to put words in your mouth, but I disagree with you.
Okay, another thing, and let me just say one other thing.
I do think-
And I also never said, and I don't want the council to be under the assumption that because you all sit here today and tell Mr. Pivac that the council's position is that it's private, that we would never potentially incur any liability. Mr. Pivac is correct. If someone, God forbid, runs off that road and runs off into a canal, a ditch, wherever, and gets seriously hurt and injured, he's correct. He will get sued, and we will get sued. And what a judge will do is a judge will look at that body of evidence that Mr. Pivac has submitted, and he will make his own determination about whether or not, over the course and history of time, that road was tacitly dedicated to the parish. And if he's persuaded that it has been tacitly dedicated, then we would be subject to liability. So I don't want you all to think that just because we say here today it's private, that somehow or because I say it's private, or we make no decision one way or the other, that somehow we're immune from potential liability down the line. A court will look at that body of evidence and will make their own decision. So I don't want you all to think that that somehow we're immune from liability just because we don't sign a formal dedication with Louisiana Fruit accepting the property.
Well, thanks, but I do disagree with you. I do think you have an obligation to advise this council on whether or not, in your opinion as the parish attorney and on behalf of the administration, on whether or not this is a public or private road.
Well, and I think the appropriate place to do that has been an executive session, not publicly. And I think I've provided you all, at least to the best of my ability, what I think the facts in this case show and what a potential likely outcome may or may not be. And I think it's important to know that the law, and Mr. Garrett can agree with me here, hopefully, the law is not always black and white, and the facts aren't always black and white. And unfortunately, this is one of these situations where you're talking about a history of 70 years or more. You're talking about a lot of back and forth. You're talking about what the intent of parties were over the course of that 70 years. And all of that goes to the issue about whether or not this would ultimately be decided in a court of law as public or private.
Which was exactly my point when I opened this up and before Mr. Pivac got up to speak, is that this council has to make a decision, either it's a public road or it's a private road, and make a decision. Or somebody's gonna have to file a declaratory judgment to have a judge do it, which I'm not for, because I think that governing bodies should be making decisions as opposed to letting one person make a decision as a judge. It is a tough situation. We don't have the money to fix it if we do incur it as a public road, but, maybe if we look outside the box, maybe if we tie this into the port, I don't know. Maybe if the port takes some jurisdiction of this road and has the ability to incur a tariff or a tax on people who operate on that road, like anywhere else, like Port Fourchon or any other port facility, and that may be an option, and that may be an option to have the port, gain ownership through the parish. If the parish can then donate it to the port, then the port can operate it and maybe charge some type of fee to make the road a better road and to provide better services for the businesses. That's just kind of an out-of-the-box thinking situation there, but,
Port does use it for a dock.
huh?
Port does use it for a dock.
Yeah, well, whatever. We just, I just think it's time, and no disrespect to you, Mr. Pivac, you've done a great job making presentations, and Mr. Cross, spoken to you many times. Frankly, I'm tired of hearing about it. I apologize if I come off a little bit crass by saying that, but I want this thing to be settled and just move on from it, one way or another.
So do we, Councilman Blackett, if I could reiterate, again, it's a public road, I would recommend to my client to contribute funds to help make some initial repairs so we don't have the potholes we have right now and people won't get injured. And at the same time, work with the administration and our lobbyists to seek funding to raise Coast Guard Road for the tenants and businesses located who pay property taxes and taxes like everybody else, but aren't receiving any real benefit from it as it relates to that particular road. Again, thank the council for allowing me to speak. If anyone has any other questions before I turn it over to Mr. Cross.
Mr. Roussel?
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I do have a comment that basically what this boils down to is liability and who's going to take it, 100% or 50%. And I don't know if we can buy our way out of the liability. If you decide that you want to make this a public road, then you give carte blanche to, we are liable. If you leave it as it is and we go to court, then it's the judge's decision if we're 50% liable or 40% liable. But I think what's being asked here is, and it's pretty obvious to me, that they want a document so that if someone is injured or hurt, that it can be used in the court proceedings to show that it's a government road and the liability lies with the government. That's what I see happening here. And, I don't know any way that you can really try to buy your way out of the liability if you decide that you want to go that direction.
Mr. Blank?
Sure. I mean, the area around the Venice Port Complex is sinking conservatively 3 feet every century and maybe as many as five to seven. We can't continue to have it all. And there's going to be certain roads outside of the levee system that we're not going to be able to maintain in perpetuity. There's an adjacent road, the Venice Marina Road. There's condominiums that abut a canal that's right near there. There could be a small bridge made. Mr. Cross's traffic could be rerouted through there. And, if we have to maintain one of them already, it's easier to do one than two, especially in light of some of the geologic issues down that way. But it's something we need to be thinking about. Grand Bayou Village Road, Lake Hermitage Road, others that are outside of the levee system are going to be becoming increasingly difficult and expensive to maintain going forward. I yield.
Well, I'll make a introduction next meeting, one for taking it, one for not taking it, and council will speak.
Again, thank you for allowing me to make the presentation.
Thanks.
Been on this for 50 minutes. 50 minutes on this thing.
I want to thank the council for letting us come in today. I'm going to be very brief. I don't have any documentation to present. I had Renee Cross Construction on a corner of Tidewater Road and Coast Guard Road. Since gave it up when I sold the company, but I got that facility in approximately 1987. I developed it, built that site. I never paid anything for road construction or drainage. Cypress Cove Marina came of essence, was built in 1994 and 95. We never paid anything for road maintenance. We were always under the thought that it was a public road. Was it in the contract for Louisiana Fruit that I signed for my facility? Yes, it was in every contract, but we didn't pay any expense because we were on two public roads. They weren't going to charge me for something that was a public road. So I never paid it for Renee Cross Construction. Cypress Cove Marina has to be gotten to right now by either water or Coast Guard Road. When the parish raised Tidewater Road and it raised Marina Road, Cypress Cove was already raised. It created a bathtub, and the water can't get out but 6 culverts that go under Tidewater Road. That thanks to Councilman Hobbo, but he went with parish equipment and cleaned them out so they would at least drain. But the water can't get out fast enough. And so when the river is high, it gets in there and creates this bathtub effect, and now everything is high around it, higher than Coast Guard Road. So it gets covered up with water. The old adage of field of dreams, if you build it, they will come. Not if they can't get there. That fish that's on our parish government logo is a sailfish. We have some of the best fishing in the world. I created that marina because I love to fish. And I knew there was things to be had that the fishing in Venice, Louisiana can't be surpassed anywhere. It was voted in 2007, it was voted the #2 destination in the world and #1 destination in the United States in 2009 by Marlin Magazine. We've had numerous stories and television shows and things that were done on Venice, Louisiana because of Cypress Cove. We're paying an estimated taxes right now. I looked at everything that we've paid for the last 3 or 4 years. We're averaging between property tax, hotel motel tax, and sales tax close to $200,000 a year. In those property tax is road maintenance. I'm not getting any of that, okay? And I understand what the parish is financially. Louisiana Fruit has agreed to help, but we can't do anything without that being a dedicated public road. I got a grant for Cypress Cove Marina, and a matching funds grant in 1997. There's an affidavit in there that's stating about that. I lost all of my records during Hurricane Katrina. Our business office was in Slidell. The building had 6 feet of water in it. So all of those records got lost. So we don't have anything for it. But when we did that grant, it was a matching funds grant to put in a sewer system in Cypress Cove Marina. And because of that, we got $140,000 for the federal government. It had to go through the parish before we could get it to raise the road. That's how it went. And the only reason why it was done that way, because they had to give it to a municipality. They wouldn't give it straight to Cypress Cove Marina. You know, bottom line is this. We're paying taxes. I'm pushing that marina as hard as I can. Every way that we possibly can, and so is Venice Marina. We advertise. We're doing things, bringing the people to Blackman Parish, especially bringing them to Venice because it's the best fishing in the world. You're not going to change that. We don't have the big shopping centers. We don't have the big fancy restaurants and hotels. We have a one-shop stop with Cypress Cove. We got the best that we could possibly give into them that we can afford. That's not changing. And when you see in Blackman's Gazette that our $44 million that we used to get from the oil industry is now down to less than $3 million, Cypress Cove's still here. We're still paying taxes. We hadn't gone down, and we're not going anywhere. I got hit hard from MIDA just like everybody else. So, you know, we're building back. I built back after Katrina. I built back in 2012 when I totally had to gut my hotel, and I'm going to have to totally gut it again. We lost roof panels. We lost damn near the whole front of my tax storage building, but we're not giving up. We're going to be here. And the only thing I ask of this council, please come to a decision. One way or the other, make a decision, commit. Please don't kick the proverbial can down the road anymore. Just give us an answer so we know where to start. But we can't get help federally without it being declared a public road. I think every one of you in here will agree to that. That's the only thing that we can do. And we've been handling this, and like Councilman Black said, it's been going on for about 3 years. We've talked to everybody we could possibly talk to. Habbo, I'll probably talk to you 24 times about it. And we've had good discussion, bad discussion. But the reality is, it is what it is. Let's make a decision so we can go ahead and come to some kind of resolution. That's all I ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and it was nice seeing you here, and hope you're feeling better.
Mark, has this ever been brought to a vote? No. All right. Thank you.
Next item,
Where would you like to go?
bids and advertisements.
Bids and advertisements. Item 5, bids and advertisements. We have one. 5A, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of bids for furnishing bulk diesel fuel for a period of 1 year for parish-wide use. Councilmember Konovich.
All off, ask for a second. Second by Mr. Blink. Any questions? Machine's open. It passes 7-0. Let the record show Mr. Alborough left.
Item 6, beer and liquor license.
If you have any queue in? They all, I have a permit, huh? All right. Have one Plaquemines Parish Fair and Orange Festival, 8831 Highway 23, Belle Chase, Louisiana, 70037. That's it. I'll offer, ask for a second. Second by Mr. Roussel. Machines open. It passes 7-0.
Item 7A, Kinder Morgan, application number 2021-749 dated September 24th, 2021, remove existing rock berm and replace it with a bulkhead and install 2 additional bulkheads along the pipeline canal west of Bay Law area. Councilmember Bartholomew.
Anybody want to introduce it for John?
Aye.
Offered by Mr. Gui, second by Mr. Blink. Machines open. It passes 6 with 1 abstention. Next
Defer
item.
B and C.
Defer B and C.
Item 8, introduction of ordinances and resolutions. I have a few. The first few are for Councilmember Konovich. Resolution establishing the dates, times, and places of public hearings on the proposed 2022 operating budget and on the proposed capital improvements budget, covering a period of at least 5 years as submitted by the parish president, to authorize the council secretary to place the necessary public notice in the Plaquemines Gazette pursuant to Section 7.02A and Section 7.05C of the Charter for Local Self-Government, Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution confirming an election date change pursuant to executive order of the governor, establishing a new date to canvass the returns of the elections and providing for other matters in connection therewith. A resolution authorizing the parish president on behalf of the Plaquemines Parish Council to certify to the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development that the Plaquemines Parish government has complied with all of FHWA DOTD requirements in 2021 relative to bridges located in the Plaquemines Parish under the Plaquemines Parish government jurisdiction. And the last is for Councilmember Gui, an ordinance authorizing the placement of 3 stop signs at the corners of Oak Tree Road and Wood Chase Drive, Belle Chase, to establish penalties for the violation thereof and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And that is it. Item 9A1, an ordinance to amend and as amended readopt the Plaquemines Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 6, Boats, Marinas, Marine Vessels, and Terminals, to provide all boats except Plaquemines Parish Government boats and Plaquemines Parish Sheriff's Office boats from driving between telephone poles during tropical storms and hurricanes, establishing fines and penalties for violation thereof, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Konovich.
I'll offer, ask for a second. Second by Mr. Roussel. I made this because people from Arlington down didn't have running water, and they just got the ball water advisory lifted yesterday. And if we stop all these boats that's been running and knocking fire hydrants down, we might not be this far back. Any other questions, council?
Sure.
Mr. Blink?
Any chance we can clarify or just mention here now for the record what it means between telephone poles?
Between the telephone poles on the highway. Some on each side. If Randy thinks we need to put on each side of Highway 23, we can, if not. He wants to,
I apologize. What's the question?
I have between the telephone poles, and he's asking what telephone poles? No,
Oh.
on each
So
side
you
of
want to
Highway
clarify what
23?
telephone poles, is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
The highway and the telephone pole, which would be the servitude,
Which would be the what?
servitude, the right of servitude.
no both.
Clarification on what it means between the telephone poles.
All right, hold on.
Mr. Koknovich said between the highway and the poles is what he's.
It shall be unlawful for any person to violate the provisions of this section.
I have a question for either Todd or Scott. And during peacetime when water levels are low, is there any chance that the maybe GPS coordinates where the fire hydrants are located could be uploaded into a GPS that's on the parish airboats to prevent friendly fire, for lack of a better term?
We have that now. It's on an app that we use for emergency services called Active Alert, and it has the location of all the fire hydrants on there.
Excellent. Y'all could use that
Yeah, I mean,
on an iPad or something on the boat itself? Great, thanks.
And the intent of the ordinance, I'm sorry, you and I didn't speak about this before. So the intent of the ordinance is we don't want anyone driving between telephone poles on both sides of the highway, right? So
Yes.
basically, telephone pole to telephone pole, Highway 23.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's appropriate how you've written it, but I would say on the both, you know, I would make it a little more specific. I would say along Highway 23, because I don't see that's clearly spelled out in here, unless there are other highways y'all are talking about as well that I'm just simply unaware of. So let me amend this a little bit, and then we can come back to it. Does that work? What's that?
We'll put it aside and
All right.
come back to it. Next item.
Item 9B, a resolution assigning buildings 1000, 1001, 1002, and the adjacent green space on the Bell Chase Government Complex located at 333 F. Edward A. Beer Boulevard, Bell Chase, Louisiana, to the Plaquemines Parish Sheriff's Office, and furthermore authorizing the parish president or his designee to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Sheriff's Office for such purposes and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Black.
Offer.
Mr. Black offers there a second. Second by Dr. Gouy. Mr. Black?
Yeah, basically, the sheriff's office approached people when they decided to move out of the lockup, to see if they could get some space from us in a government complex. It's the front right corner. There's one building that was usable. They use it during a making of a film, kind of, cleaned it up a little bit. There's another one that the sheriff's office would propose to tear down and then utilize the field across the street from it for, to put a warehouse, to put the helicopter in, and use it. It would also provide, I think, 24/7 coverage of the government complex to have the sheriff's office lockup, be on a facility. That's all I have.
Mr. Roussel?
Yes, Mr. Lagasse, could you give us some clarification? Because you say in the resolution, it's buildings 1,000, 1,001, 1,002. In the map that I have, I'm not sure that I see what buildings you're talking about, because I got 1,100, 1,200, and I see 1,000, but I don't see any of the others. And I guess the other question is that you plan on putting the lockup back there?
Yes, sir.
So y'all abandon the idea of putting it behind the bank?
Yes, sir, it doesn't fit.
So you're gonna put the lockup back there, and we gonna pay the maintenance and utilities and all, or y'all gonna
Also,
pick that up?
Take care of the maintenance and utilities.
Okay.
And I think that's spelled out in the,
Yeah, no, it doesn't spell it out in the resolution. It says that we gonna pay what we normally pay, and we normally
what you
pay
normally pay for us now on our utilities, yes, sir.
at the lockup.
Yes, sir.
So we gotta pay them back there as well?
Yes, sir, it's all on a to my knowledge, the government complex has a single meter for the whole complex. But we would take over all maintenance of the buildings.
Right, but we're gonna pay the utilities.
Yes, sir. And it's in the front, Mr. Russo. If you look, it's these right here. That's the, prone buildings that you look,
Right, so which one are you talking about?
right in the front, sir.
This one?
Yes, sir.
And this one?
Yes, sir.
And what's the
there's
third one?
more. I think it's that one.
This one?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's where the prone is, sir.
And so,
And this is the green space, sir.
right, and so let me ask you this, the utilization of these facilities will free up the Bell Chase lockup And which building will you demolition?
Associated, because that would expose us for a parking area. As it stands right now, those buildings are made into a little complex, and there is no parking for any of the buildings, basically. The one facing FA would be the parking area, sir.
Is that one of the three that we're talking about?
Yes, sir. The one to the west, I guess, if you would call it, coming towards the parish administration building, is not part of the three.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Council, administration, audience? Mr. LaFrance?
Yes, is this in front of the primary school?
No, sir, it's on the government complex itself. If you go into the government complex to the front, the administration building sits right there. There's a cluster of buildings to the right that have never been used since the parish has bought the complex. They're abandoned buildings, like many others on that property. But those are a complex cluster to the right of the administration building.
Any other questions?
This is before you get to the primary school, right on the right, on the left.
Yeah, that's on the government complex, yes, sir.
And it's not the sandbag building.
No.
No, sir. Mm-mm.
Any other questions? Machine's open. Passes 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Item 9C, a resolution of the Plaquemines Parish Council to revoke the dedication and abandon a portion of Last Cast Lane and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Blink.
Mr. Blink, your offer?
We're withdrawing this.
Withdrawn.
9D, a resolution granting the conditional approval for a plan of subdivision of Rennie S. Burris, map of re-subdivision of Lot 5-Y1E into lots 5-Y1E1, 5-Y1E2, and 5-Y1E3, Belchase Section D, Belchase, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on map of re-subdivision by Bryant Hammond and Associates, certified by Hugh McCurdy III, PLS, dated June 22nd, 2021, without cost to Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines. Councilmember Gooey.
I'll offer.
Dr. Gooey offers, there a second? I'll second. Any questions from the council?
I would like to ask Todd one thing. This is conditional. So, language, when the final approval comes before us, would there be any standard language that says that the developer is responsible for the maintenance of the road and the drainage?
Yeah, that's in all of
Right,
them.
I just want to make it clear.
Yeah.
And that also, when a property owner, someone would buy the property, they would be made aware of that the parish would.
I can't hear you. Oh,
Yeah, it's just that a property, or someone buys a piece of property, they would be made aware in the act of sale that it's not a public road, that it's
that it's not public?
not a public road, that the road is.
I don't know that there's any obligation where people are told
Is there
roads are.
standard language to that effect? That's what I'm asking. You get my drift?
No,
Don't get my drift.
honestly, I'm not
I can tell.
understanding
You
what
look
you're
at the
saying.
deer in the headlights over there.
Yes.
Okay. I buy the property.
You're buying a property.
I'm going to be made aware that this is not a parish road, that this is, the developer has placed this road and is responsible for the maintenance. How does that work?
No, there's no, to my knowledge, there's no affirmative duty
Okay.
on behalf of sellers to tell buyers whether or not a road is public or private. I mean, I think they can look that up.
should.
That's a legal, first of all, that's typically a legal question. And presumably their real estate agent or their attorney, who's ever doing a closing, would let them know. I mean, they could certainly look at the documents and read the documents for themselves, because typically in the title documents, it'll say less and accept a servitude granted to the Plaquemines Parish government, basically
So it's in the
declaring that road a public road.
In the language.
Yes, if something is public, it would be in the conveyance record saying that I'm giving you this, less than accept a servitude and/or right of way granted to the parish government. So,
I'm good.
Mr. Roussel?
Yeah, I guess the question is that this is conditional use, and in the final adoption of the final subdivision, the standard language will be included in the ordinance saying that this is a private street and that it'll be maintained by the private owner and all of their successors.
that's in every ordinance you all adopt.
That's what he was asking.
Yeah, that's in every ordinance you all adopt.
Correct, Doc? Is that what we're looking for?
Got it.
I mean, if there's another, usually there's one on the agenda I could point to. I
Well,
don't know if there's-
that's all right. We just want to make sure that it comes in the final approval in the language.
Yes, absolutely. That's on, actually, I'm the one that created that language
Thank you.
when I worked here for Mr. Nungesser to make sure that everyone understood when a road was public versus when a road was private.
And this is going to be a private.
This is a private road, correct?
Thank you. Any other questions, administration, audience? Machine's open. Passes 7-0.
Item 9E, an ordinance to amend the 2021 general fund operating expenditure budget, flood control general department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I'll
Councilman,
offer as for a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Blink. This is to buy a vac truck, which the parish needs. Had them come out and show Scott and them how they work and talk with the people, and this is the one we decided to get. Any questions?
Got any description? Any paperwork, anything?
Vac truck. Ms. Newberry?
Yeah. I reached out to administration about this particular ordinance, and I don't doubt that we probably need a new vac truck because the one we have is operating right now, but it's continuously breaking, correct?
Yes, been in the shop for 2 years now.
So I had conversation with Mr. Lapine and also with other members of the administration that what's needed right now is tractors to cut grass. From what I understand, we have the manpower to do that. Do they know how to operate a vacuum truck? That I don't know. So I'm not sure where I lie right now on this particular ordinance. It may be premature because I would like to hear more from the administration on their position.
Mr. Roussel?
Yeah, does the administration want to say anything? Personally, I believe that we need a vac truck, considering the last vac truck, or the one that we have now, has been in the shop for quite a long time and inoperable, and that if we'd have had this vac truck, I think it would have been beneficial to the area like Myrtle Grove. We could have sucked out the drains and things like that. I don't know if y'all have any comment, but this is the type of equipment that I think that this one-time funding source is good to do.
Well, I know if we'd have had a vac truck for the last 3 years, we could have had a lot of drainage problems in Buras, Venice, Empire, Port Sulphur, on parish property fixed. So,
The vac truck was in the shop for a while, and it is out now, and we actually have it in Ironton, vacuuming out the drains, and we'll move it where need be after that. But yes, it is operational now.
for this week. For this week, it's working. I said this week it's working.
Well, that could be a new truck, but this week it's working, then it break down, then it ain't working. So
So let me ask
we
you.
do have new trucks that break down, just, you know, just because it's new, that don't mean it'll work for a year or two without breaking down.
Does the administration recommend this or not?
Well, we need a lot of equipment.
I know, we're on one item right now, and this is a vac truck.
Well, we have one. It would be nice to have another one. We would need employees to operate it. So we have to pull employees off equipment to operate this one now. It takes two, one to drive it, has to have a CDL, the other one to operate it, to move it around. So, yes, we need a little bit of everything.
We're starting on A and I'm working to B and C as we speak, but gotta start at the front of the line, and this was the first one I got a quote for. I'm waiting on the long arm excavator and the bulldozer, and got the same problem with them too. You're gonna need somebody to run them, so. Any other, Dr. Gouy?
I'd like a more assertive answer from the administration. If we're going to spend $412,000, what piece of equipment would we spend $412,000 on? Is it the vac truck?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Without a long boom excavator or a big excavator, you could spend 400,000. A large dozer, you could spend 400,000. 5 tractors are 400,000.
My question is, what is the top priority from the administration in regards to a piece of heavy equipment? I think that's what Ms. Trudy was trying to get an answer, because it's $412,000. Is it best spent on the vacuum truck, or is it best spent on another piece of heavy equipment? I think that's the answer we're looking for from the administration.
Oh, tractors. I mean, you know, everybody fusses about grass cutting. And we have older tractors than the truck. And the truck is running, we could put a tractor out there to break down, run for 15 minutes and break down. And everybody wants their grass cut. So if we can get multiple tractors to cut a lot more grass than one vac truck, which we have one running now, so, I mean.
How many times we bought new tractors this year? Didn't we give money to buy?
No, sir.
The zero turns. We purchased a whole slew of zero turns for the levee, the new levee with the armoring.
Had a grant that Dr. Gouy introduced that had
Not this year.
mosquito trucks and zero turns for the levee. But I remember voting on tractors too, and
One tractor?
Didn't you get one tractor?
Oh, yeah, just one. Yes, sir. We got one. And the zero turns are for, you know, nice clean cut where they say we have to cut because of the armor and protection on the levee. That was a while back, that was a couple of years ago.
because obviously we ain't taking care of it, because I know where they got 3 bush hogs right now with no tractors on them, in the weeds and underwater.
The tractors are broke down, sir.
So we left one bush hog on the levee by Point Celeste that went underwater, and it's still underneath the grass and all. There's one in Sunrise, there was one in Empire that, but it's up to y'all. If y'all don't want this truck,
What I'd like to see is for Councilmember Konovich and the administration to get together, because I think we're all in favor of spending or appropriating the money for a piece of heavy equipment. I think it would be prudent if we would agree what is the top priority and why, and come to some consensus on that. And so how about if you would want to do that and defer this till next time?
we'll defer it. And like me and Scott talked about it, this truck before, and then Monday, we talked about a long arm excavator and a bulldozer. And I'm waiting for the guy to send me quotes on those, so. I want to see this money spent on stuff we could use instead of losing it. But we'll defer that item.
Item 9F, an ordinance amending the 2021 general fund operating revenue and expenditure budgets, Judges 25th JDC Division B and Juvenile Division Department, and otherwise provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Konovich.
I'll offer ask for a second. Second by Mr. Roussel. Anybody have anything on this? It's a grant, so it's gotta, I think it had to be spent here.
Says $1,100 for the judges, so.
Just accepting the grant.
It looks like it's a grant. It's a federal grant of $1,110 designated for the judges.
All right, any other questions? Machine's open. Passes 6-0. Let the record show Mr. Black stepped away. Left. Yeah.
Item 9G, an ordinance to amend the 2021 Public Health Fund operating expenditure budget, mosquito control department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Konovich.
I'll offer, ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Blink. Miss,
Mosquito control request to move monies from salary and wages in the amount of $30,000 to supplies and chemicals. They were
Thank-
running short in that line item.
any questions from the council?
I would like to say thank y'all for scrambling the mosquito plane after the hurricane. That was very, very helpful. Thank y'all again.
Any other questions? Audience, machine's open. Passes 6-0.
Item 9H, an ordinance to declare the malapportionment status of the current districting plan of the 9 single-member districts of the Plaquemines Parish Council, utilizing the population data from the 2020 federal decennial census, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Konovich.
I'll offer, ask for a second. Second by Mr. Roussel. Any questions? Yes, sir. State your name and address for the record, please.
Reverend Tyrone Edwards, 112 Thomas Lane, downtown Phoenix. Could you just tell me what this is? I mean, what you're trying to accomplish with this resolution?
We've taken the census information and have to draw new lines for the districts.
It basically means that over the course of the last 10 years, the district's populations have been skewed so much, either one way, either gains or losses, such that we actually have to do redistricting.
And so what process you gonna use to do that? Because I know in the past, in other years, they had someone come in and help draw the line, and they had hearings trying people different scenarios. So what process gonna be used to make the decision in terms of drawing these lines?
Sir, I think I can help you. Danny Garrett. In addition to being an attorney and representing the council and other clients, I also was involved very much in redistricting last cycle in affiliation with a company at that time called Redistricting LLC. One of the people I worked with 10 years ago formed a company called Strategic Demographics LLC. He's actually the state demographer, and he is truly an expert.
And what's his name?
His name is Dr. William Blair. And Dr. Blair reached out to me and has hired me or contracted with me to assist him in strategic demographics. Some month or so, a couple months ago, the council actually hired strategic demographics to assist. Just as a little bit of background, Dr. Blair and I worked on 32 jurisdictions last cycle. Everything from the town of Amite City to the city of New Orleans. I think it was 32 jurisdictions. Every one of them was pre-cleared. Now, there is no pre-clearance this time, but what we provide is we have GIS mapping software. We utilize Maptitude software by a company called Caliper. We've uploaded the census data, the electronic census data down to the block level into our software, and we've actually already taken the existing districts that were adopted some years ago, not by us, but by the council and not drawn by us. We take the districts the council ran on last time, for example. We populated those districts with the census data, and have issued a report to the council on establishing that they have a number of districts that are outside of the allowable deviation off of the ideal. The ideal is essentially the population of the parish divided by 9, because you have 9 seats, because each seat is supposed to be approximately equal in population. So the report we ran provides that the council with the information that their districts are malaligned. State law requires parish governments to do that analysis and adopt an ordinance determining whether, because you could have a situation where when you upload the 2020 census data, everything's fine. All the districts were in plus or minus 5. You don't have a voting rights issue. But in this case, that didn't happen. So you have to adopt an ordinance declaring yourselves malapportioned and moving forward. And we've actually already started that process because, like I said, we were hired some time ago.
And you said you've already sent in some preliminary stuff. Is that available for the public to see it? Because the original 9 district came because of the murder of Broussard. They looked at the East Bank Community Majority Black District with 3,000 people. That's how the original 9 district came about.
Well, and currently the 9 districts are set forth in the Home Rule Charter. In fact, what the charter actually says is you shall have a minimum of 9 single-member districts. So under the charter, the council could add more districts, but they can't go below. Some places they can change that on their own, but in your charter, it's locked in as a minimum of 9. So they would have had to amend the charter prior to this point in order to have fewer than 9 districts.
In your research, have you found where there was counties the size of Plaquemine that had more than 9, if you know of counties that have more than 9 district members?
I'm trying to think, based upon your population, which is sort of in that 23 to 25 range. I know that Point Capee Parish, which is right around the low 20s, has 8 single-member districts. I know that because I wrote their home rule charter. I'm trying to think, there may be some, and in fact, the Wynn Parish Police Jury, which is substantially smaller, has 10 districts. They're actually one of our clients this time. Most jurisdictions around this size tend to be between 7 and 9. There are some outliers. For example, Natchitoches Parish has 5 single-member districts only, which is, they used to have 11 police jury districts. So 9 is sort of within the range of what a parish this size would have. But I can tell you that, for example, you have like EBR, which is East Baton Rouge Metro, which is about 400,000 people. They actually have 12, but their districts are huge. For example, we're doing the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board. They have 387,000 people in their school district. They have 9 districts. So their districts are actually about almost 1.5 times the size of Plaquemines Parish. So there's not really a rule of thumb per se. In New Orleans, for example, they have 2 at-large and 5 single-member districts. Those single-member districts routinely exceed 60,000 in population. So y'all are similar to other areas, not an outlier one way or the other.
As I want to get a copy of the preliminary stuff you have already done.
Oh, sorry, it's public record because we sent it in.
And it's under what? You did it under what?
We actually sent in, we sent in 2 sets of reports. One was the initial malapportionment report. We sent in a revised malapportionment report as well. The difference for the revision is in a community the size of Plaquemines, and this happens in a lot of smaller parishes. Oftentimes, if the sheriff utilizes the parish prison to house DOC inmates, these are people who have been convicted of a felony and are serving time and can't actually vote at all. Not the ones that are awaiting trial because they couldn't make bail, but the ones that are actually prohibited from voting. With districts the size of this, you generally redact out that population so that you don't throw off the equalization that you're trying to get of one person, one vote. For example, the data that we obtained from the sheriff's office here in Plaquemines shows that of the inmates at the Plaquemines Parish Detention Center, 468 are actually convicted So these are not really residents of Plaquemines Parish who potentially could register to vote and impact it. And if you don't redact that out, it causes the district where the prison is to look like it has more effective population than not. And that can create a problem under the constitutional principle, one person, one vote, which is what drives having to make sure the districts are approximately equal in population. And we have to do that. For example, West Feliciana is the most ardent example of something like that. They have Angola. And if you included the inmates at Angola in their redistricting, they would have an entire council district made up of Angola. So you redact it out if it's going to impact. In larger jurisdictions, a few hundred people one way or the other doesn't dramatically impact it. So there are two sets of malapportionment reports that change the ideal from 2613 to 2561. So it's not a huge change, but it's statistically significant, which is why we recommended it.
And how do that relate to the Air Force Base? How do you, as you looking at parallel the Air Force Base?
The difference with the inmate population in the Air Force Base is the people on the Air Force Base are choosing not to register to vote here. The people in the parish prison are not choosing to do so. Just like the inmates in Angola are not choosing. But if you had a community that was, because the notion being that they are counted in the population, because if they wanted to, they could register to vote here. I have two siblings who are in the military, and as I appreciate it, the military lets you maintain your voter registration generally wherever you've ever been billeted. And most states allow military personnel wherever they call home, or they can change your voter registration every time they get reassigned.
How do that relate to, and I'm not sure of it, the law that was passed, I think it was in Florida, where certain prisoner people who was in prison were able to vote, could register to vote, long as they're not a felony.
Well, and that's why we got the specific data. For example, if someone who, and this is data from April 1st, 2020, which is Census Day, the sheriff provided us his total population, but he also delineated those that were actually convicted, serving time, sentenced through the Department of Corrections, as compared to those who are simply in jail awaiting trial. The ones who are in jail awaiting trial, their voting rights have not been in any way impaired by Louisiana law or Louisiana Constitution, which means that it is appropriate to keep them in the calculation. And we've delineated out the two.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Certainly.
Any other questions? Machine's open. That passes 6-0.
Moving to item 11, 11A1, a resolution expressing the Plaquemines Parish Council support of the southern levee closure at La Resuite, urging the Plaquemines Parish state and federal delegations to provide the necessary funding for this project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Blink.
Mr. Blink, you offer?
Yes.
I'll second for the suspension. Any questions? Machine's open on the suspension. You want a verbal yes? 6-0, it passes. Read it again.
Item 11A1, a resolution expressing the Plaquemines Parish Council support of the southern levee closure at La Resuite, urging the Plaquemines Parish state and federal delegations to provide the necessary funding for this project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Blink.
Mr. Blink offers, and I'll second. Mr. Blink?
So what this would do is this would ask our federal and state delegation to support the southern closure at La Resuite. So for instance, the Jesuit Bend levee at the river is fully built out. The Jesuit Bend levee on the backside is about to get a lift to bring it within 100-year protection, but there's no back door, so to speak, there. So as we experienced during Ida, we had a sandbag berm there. It failed during Ida. There was an evacuation in the middle of the night. And the National Flood Insurance Program has something like $330 million worth of properties that have coverage between there and Captain Larry's. There's also 2,200 residents that are in that polder or segment of levee, and this would help to reduce the risk. The cost at full build-out is around $10 million.
And so that's a very small price to pay for getting those folks better protection. And I would just ask for y'all's support, please.
Any questions from the council? Administration? Audience? Machines open. Mr. LaFrance. Passes 5-1 no.
All right.
Next item for suspension.
Item 11A2, a resolution expressing the Plaquemines Parish Council's support of construction of the Empire Tidal Gate, urging the Plaquemines Parish state and federal delegations to provide the necessary funding for this project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Blink.
Mr. Blink, you offer?
I'd like to offer it.
Mr. Blink offers. There's a second. I'll second. This is for suspension only. Machines open. It passes 6-0.
Would you like to go back to 9I?
No, read that one again.
Oh, I'm sorry. 11A2, a resolution expressing the Plaquemines Parish Council's support of construction of the Empire Tidal Gate, urging the Plaquemines Parish state and federal delegations to provide the necessary funding for this project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Blink offers. I'll second. Mr. Blink.
Got it.
All right. So what this would do is, what's going on at the Port of Empire, there is a river floodgate with a set of locks. There is a back floodgate that replaced the old Empire floodgate that was built in 1976. The new floodgate was built at the cost of about $63 million, although it is not exactly what the harbor needs. What's happening is because the harbor has sank a number of feet since it was initially developed, this floodgate on the backside closes about 100 days out of the year. Now, while economic data is hard for my office to obtain, due to proprietary reasons, trip tickets being confidential, etc., I believe that the state and federal delegation could have a little bit better access to this data. But anyway, the Empire Harbor has probably an estimated landings of about $100 million per year and is a linchpin to the local economy. What we need in the back is a small tidal gate, something that could preferably be built off-site, brought to the location, sank on site relatively quickly, that would allow vessels to lock in and out, much like is at Golden Meadow or Galliano. There's a similar setup down there, and we only need about 3 to 5 feet off of the water to get boats in and out. Boats could lock through about once per hour. Daybrook Fisheries would benefit, the shrimp industry would benefit, the oyster industry would benefit, and the recreational fishing industry at Empire would benefit as well. There's many charter guides, Delta Marina, et cetera. And so this would show that we have, we're all singing the same tune and think that it's important that our federal and state delegation be working to prioritize this project within the Corps of Engineers. Thank y'all.
I'd like to also say that on high tides, when the tidal gates close, there's no one coming in and out unless it's a emergency of life and death for them to open it. So it's closed probably half the day while the tide's high. Any questions from the council, administration, audience? Machines open. Passes 6-0. We're going to defer 9A1. The one we passed over.
Okay, we're going to defer that. Okay. Moving to 9I, a resolution declaring Friday, November 12th, 2021 Employee Appreciation Day, an approved holiday for Plaquemines Parish government employees and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Konovich.
I'll offer, ask for a second. Second by Mr. Roussel. Mr. Alpine wanted to do this for the parish employees for all their hard work during the storm, and I agree. Any questions? Administration? Audience? Machines open. That passes 6-0. Defer.
9J deferred. 9K, a resolution to cancel the November 25th, 2021 and December 23rd, 2021 regularly scheduled council meetings due to the Thanksgiving holiday and the Christmas holiday, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Konovich.
I'll offer ask for a second. Second by Mr. Roussel. Any questions? Machines open. Mr. LaFrance, Mr. Blink. Passes 6-0.
9L, an ordinance to amend the five-year capital improvements plan, various projects, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Gui.
I'll offer.
Mr. Gui offers, there a second? I'll second. Mr. Gui.
Yes. I'd asked Mr. Epley for an explanation, and he provided it, and I'd like to provide it to the council members. We had a $4 million grant for this project, and there were some overruns. And monies that are, where the money is being removed, I asked him about those projects because they were in other districts. And he responded to me favorably that these are all leftover monies from other projects, and that the administration felt that because it was leftover money, that it could be removed and used to help with the raw water intake project. Is that correct, Mr. Epley?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Mr. Roussel.
Yes, well, I realize it's leftover money. You saw what I went through for the email process this morning. If you read the emails between one of our members and about leftover money. Let me ask you this. What are the overruns in this project that warrants the $722,000?
The overruns aren't necessarily the issue, it's the cost estimate to construct the project. The engineered estimate is at $6.2 million. We have a $4 million grant. There is some money coming from the Belle Chase Water Plant project and moving over to the raw water intake, but it still doesn't get us to the funding that we need to make this raw water intake project go.
Okay, I had sent you an email in conjunction with Dr. Gui's email asking you for some information, but I didn't receive anything. Let me ask you.
You asked for a complete accounting of the Belle Chase Water Plant project, is that correct?
You have that?
I do not. I have not received it yet from engineering. I'll get it to you as soon as I get it.
All right, so let me ask you this then. The, the money that we are putting up, 722, is that enough to bid the project?
No.
Are we still short?
Yes, sir. We're going to appropriate money in the budget in order to have enough money to bid the project.
How much more do you need?
600,000.
On top of the 700?
Yes, sir.
And the engineering firm, you have any idea how much was spent on engineering for this project?
I do not. I think it's around 300.
300,000?
Yes, sir.
For the 700,000 project? And do we have the slope analysis completed?
The slope stability analysis will be completed next week and delivered to the Corps of Engineers for permit approval.
All right. Well, I guess we can discuss this in the budget hearing, but some of these projects, you know, like, well, I'll talk about it when the item comes up. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Machines open. Mr. LaFrance. Passes 5-0. Let the record show Mr. Blink left.
One no vote, kill it. One vote never had so much power.
Says it only takes two.
Item 9M, an ordinance to amend the five-year capital improvements plan, Walker Road Boat Launch Project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Roussel. Funding source, the F. Edward Hebert Realignment Project.
Yes,
You offer?
I offer next for a second.
Mr. Roussel offers there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. LaFrance seconds. Mr. Roussel.
Yes. Last week, last meeting, 2 weeks ago, I made two introductions. One of them was to take money from this project, which is the,
406.
no, this one particular one is for, hold on, let me get the,
Yeah, 406. The other one was Peters Road bypass.
actually, M is the way I have it here in my, it says, the five-year capital improvement plan is amended by appropriating $45,000 to the Walker Road Boat Launch Project from the extension of Peters Road bypass. Is that correct?
That's N.
Well, that's what I have.
Mine
as
has
M.
it as N.
I wanted this, I'm going to explain it. I have M on mine as, the one I am proposing is to take the money from the Walker Road bypass project. And let me elaborate on that. The other one is to take it from the roundabout on F. Edward Abel and 406. Now, one of my colleagues got very upset about that, and if you saw the exchange of the emails this morning, we went back and forth, because he's under the impression that it's an impact fee and it cannot be used in any other area or whatever. I'm not really sure what his position is, but if you notice, if you read the emails, my position is that the boat launch is serving the entire parish, and the impacts on the recreation would be to all. Now, he disagrees with that, I assume, because of the emails that we sent. And rather than getting into a sword fight over it, I just assume let it go. But the point is that that money is sitting there just as these other projects that the administration put up for this project, it's sitting there as well. And the only reason that I'm willing to move money off of the Walker Road project is because I've learned recently that that project is dead. And I say that because the governor's office has indicated that they are not going to move that project forward because of the fiscal impact on the toll bridge. And they don't want the tolls being diverted to Walker Road, which would be a substantial amount of money because the trucks who are going to pay the toll on the toll bridge in Belchase would automatically go to the bypass road. And the estimate is 35% of the traffic. However, the cost and the expenses to the toll bridge would be significantly more than 35% because they're going to pay the bulk of the toll. So I'm having heartburn doing this because Peters Road bypass is my #1 favorite transportation project. But as a consequence of the toll bridge being there, we are dead in the water for the next 2 years with this governor. So that's why I'm choosing to go with taking some money from there and also trying to work with my colleague who thinks that that money should be utilized somewhere else. And we also had a discussion about that money could be used for a pump station. And I say I would support that if it's appropriated, but it's been sitting there for a couple of years and no effort has been made to put it to the pump station. So I leave you with that and ask you to support this resolution, this ordinance, for those reasons.
And
The N,
we're going to have to withdraw M and go to N.
well, I have,
on the agenda that M is FNA realignment.
Yes,
M?
M.
Okay. So I will defer, I will withdraw
Withdraw.
M and offer N. As long as the language is taking it from the
Peters Road
the
bypass.
Peters Road bypass project.
That's N. Yes, sir.
And to add to that, the bid came in, substantially over the amount of money that we have, and I've asked the administration to take $18,000 out of the resident inspection for this engineering firm, to put it with this $45,000, to give us a total of $63,000 to award the contract. And it's up to y'all to unencumber that $18,000. There's actually $29,000 left in the project, but after speaking to finance, 18,000 is for resident inspection. And I would hope that we could get a better handle on the expenditures to these engineering firms on a $250,000 project, spending over $50,000 in engineering cost, or just above the pale.
Any questions from the council? Ms. Newberry?
Yeah. So the 18,000 for inspection, you withdrew that from the cost of the overspent, the money that's needed to do this project? We have 18,000 that we still need to find?
No.
Or you're just trying to use an in-house inspector? I'm just trying to
Yes.
clarify where you.
I'm trying to ask the engineering department and the finance department to unencumber the $18,000 that is earmarked for the engineering firm to do the inspections on the construction of this boat launch, and let the engineering department do the inspections on the boat launch. Because all it is a boat launch. It's not any building, or it really, $18,000 for inspection is exorbitant to me. And put that money with the $45,000 that we are appropriating today from the Peters Road Bypass Project to give us a total of $63,000, which is the shortfall for the contract for Cycle Construction to build the project. It's already been bid, and it's been held up because of a lack of funding, and the administration has asked the contractor to hold his price until we make a decision whether or not we're going to fund it or not.
Are we able to put an inspector on that job for a few months? I mean, is it a daily project? I mean, how does this work when it comes to inspection? We only have a limited amount of manpower, so I'm just trying to figure that out.
We have one resident inspector that works in the engineering department. I would say it's feasible to use that inspector to inspect this project. I don't know that they have anything else that would be a problem for that. But again, I don't know the schedule coming up. I would say it should be feasible for a boat launch project.
And if
That's
it's
my
not feasible,
opinion.
can we maybe try to find the 18,000 elsewhere, or is this something that needs to be decided now?
That's,
I don't know, other than any coastal fund, that money could come from, it can come from any district or anyone else, or any, if District 5 has coastal money, it can come from there on the bond money. But the whole thing is to save the 18,000, but put it back in for the construction. I understand what you're saying there. But to go the original way, that would be funding the whole inspection, right?
Yes, and I mean, we're talking about building a concrete pad in the water with a piling pier.
Oh, yes, sir. I understand
So, I
what
mean,
you're
it's,
doing, yeah.
it's a simple project that an inspector can pass by there, check the form, and then be on his way. A couple of hours a day, he can pass by and see if everything is right. And, you know, I don't see it as a problem.
Yes, so the only pushback that I had received from engineering is that they were busy with a drainage project and one other project they're working on now that could take up time from that inspector and possibly delay projects even longer. That's why they were looking for that, to do the inspection that was bid. But whatever you give us, that's the way we're gonna work. We'll make it work.
Thank you.
What does this leave in Walker Road? Do you know the balance that'll be in Walker Road?
The finance department gave me, yeah, it's currently,
And the only reason I'm asking is because I know we were still pursuing acquisitions of of the properties necessary for Peters Road, and
wait, are we talking about the money that I'm taking from the Peters Road project?
yes,
Okay,
I want to make sure we're talking about the same
No.
project.
we are talking about the same project.
Okay, so, and, you know, this is all news to me, what you said about the governor and what he announced and all, but, you know, it's my understanding that, you know, we have Go Civic and we've been in discussions with DOTD about the ongoing analysis that needs to be done to determine what the final number is to actually acquire those properties for this project. And, I haven't been in touch with the contractor in a while. Probably need to circle back with that individual. But I just want to make sure, before we make some quick decision, that we're not going to impact what was done to date on that. I would hate to throw money away that could potentially help us get to closing that out. So anyway, I don't want to make any rash decisions on that, but if there's a substantial amount of money left in there to where we could do a little more detailed analysis and it's only 45,000, well, then that changes things.
Well,
But
let me say this, I'll defer this item so we can work and get it clear. I would have preferred to take it from the project, the roundabout project. However, I didn't want to have a showdown here today and see who got the votes, because I want the project to move. Because the
Yeah,
administration informed me that the contractor's holding up the project.
look, I understand. I just want to make sure. The parish has invested so much into the Peters Road project. I mean, we're talking millions and millions and millions. And I just want to make sure, because I know we're at the tail end, we're talking about 2 properties. We're talking about a going-on analysis so that we could tell DOTD, because I basically have told DOTD, whatever this comes at, because I think the initial assessments were like at 2 million, and now we're looking at 4 million. And I want to make sure that our assessments are done in such a way that we could present the package to DOTD and say, we've invested all this money, you've invested all this money. Our share of that is getting this analysis done to present that to DOTD, and then that's it. DOTD can take it or leave it. Now, if what you're telling me is accurate, then it sounds like they're going to leave it. But I just think maybe a little more discussion on that should happen before we willy-nilly take all that money out of that project. And I'm not saying we're taking all of it, but take a substantial amount of money out of that project without maybe just a little more.
I'll defer the item, but it's my understanding that the scenario that you just gave, they're trying to come to the middle of the road.
I understand.
For the 3 million, the 4 million, the 2 million, and so forth.
Yeah.
However, they may want to finish the phase that they're in now, but they're not moving it any further.
I understand. I like I said, I just would hate to see us.
All right.
I would hate to see us do something that jeopardizes all the money we previously put in the project.
Well, if
And
that's
got
5
us.
votes here, I'll go to the roundabout. You know what I mean? And get the boat launch built.
Can I say something? So I understand we're moving, so Benny's saying Peters Road's dead in the water, okay? Because of the.
Well, you're
the
saying
tolls.
that. I mean, I've never heard that.
He's saying that.
I said it.
Well, okay, well,
So,
that's the
but
first I'm
the
hearing.
port is, so the port has a plan. They want to build Peters Roads to have transportation modes in the future. So I guess my question is, if we exhaust all that money from the Peters Road project, can the port absorb some of that to finish the acquisitions, or?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Yeah,
It's got to
I
go
don't
through
see
the.
why. I mean, you're talking about transportation. The port has authority to do things related to transportation into the parish. So yes, I mean, I think that's a possibility. Obviously, that would have to be something worked out through.
No, I understand, but so the 45,000 taken from Peters Road, it still leaves us some money. So, but if we are short and the port is developing that area, they can absorb that difference in money.
That's going to be right, but that would be
'Cause it'd be a
something
pro-
I would
it
need
might
to
be
look
a
at
private.
a little closer,
Right.
and give you an opinion on that.
Okay.
I'll defer the item until we can get straight.
Yeah,
I got a consensus here to take it from the roundabout. No? I didn't think so.
We'll make some.
The boat ramp is on deferral again, okay?
Item N's deferred, item O's deferred.
Item 10, approval of the minutes from the September 23rd, 2021 regular meeting.
I'll offer, ask for a second. Ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Newberry. Any questions? Machines open. It passes 5-0.
Item 11B, District 9 update, Councilmember Conovich.
Defer. Defer, Mr. Blinks.
Item 11D, District 1 update, deferred.
Oh, wait, is there anybody here to talk about that?
District 1?
Yes, sir. State your name and address for the records, please.
Eugene White, 5655 Highway 39, Braithwaite. We still in kind of a jam in the Braithwaite area with the 18-mile levee that they raised to 12. We still stuck between the 26 high levee in St. Bernard and a 17-mile federal levee right here, from Bohemia to Phoenix. And what that does is funnel all the water right to our area, and it's the second time it overtopped the levee. Last time it was 8 foot, this time it's 12 foot. And I don't think the Corps of Engineers likes us too much. For Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Isaac, it pushed water, a surge up the Mississippi River, and overtopped the Mississippi River levee on the west bank and the east bank. So how did they fix that? They raised the levee on the west bank. So where's that water gonna go next time? They're gonna be here next time. So we're getting water from everywhere. One of the biggest problems that we were talking about was the railroad tracks where they go through the levee in Braithwaite, by the parish line. I don't know what kind of agreement the parish has with the railroad, but it seems like to me if they going through a hurricane protection levee with a railroad track, they should have some responsibility of putting a floodgate so that we don't have to worry about closing it. Why are we responsible for closing it off every time? I don't know. I don't know what kind of agreement they got. But I think between Stoughton and the railroad, if the parish was to talk to them, I think they can come to some kind of agreement between the two of them. I'm sure they had to do that to put the floodgate going into Stoughton. And I think they both would be willing to help, because when the same thing happens like happened this time, they put the fresh dirt there to close the railroad tracks off, and it just blows it right out every time. It's about the third or fourth time that happened. And sandbags, the same thing. Sandbags is not going to work. But anyway, Stoughton can't, when the street floods, Stoughton can't get to their facility, so they should be glad to help out. When the street floods and the railroad tracks is underwater, the railroad can't get to Stoughton. So I think if somebody was to talk to them. The other problem is the highways by Braithwaite and the White Ditch. We spent millions of dollars to raise the levee from 8 foot to 12 foot, which we was glad to get. But it ain't finished. Not when you got openings in a levee that you got to worry about the parish going there at the last minute in the bad weather and put sandbags. Then like this time, and sandbags ain't gonna work. I don't care how many sandbags you put, if you had enough, if you put them high enough, sandbags are not gonna work. It's been proven 3 or 4 times already. It just blows them out. And the reason for it is the Carnarvon Diversion Canal. Carnarvon Diversion pumps water from the Mississippi River to the marsh. When we get a storm, it works in reverse. You got an open shot from the marsh right to the highway in Braithwaite. The force of that water comes there, and sandbags are never going to hold up. It's going to blow out every time. The next big problem we spent a bunch of money on raising the Scarsdale pumping station. But between the levee project that we spent a bunch of money on and the pumping station, we don't have no levee protection going across the back of the pump. The pump was at 8 foot. The levee's at 12 foot. When it gets to the canal behind the pump, it stops. You got sheep pilings from there coming to the pump. They stop 10 feet from the pumping station. So you got a 10-foot opening on both sides. Plus, you got the whole 100 or so foot of back wall of the pumping station that's not sealed to hold water out. So why wasn't all that put into effect or talk about when they did them 2 projects? I don't know, but we still got some major problems. And it ain't getting any better, because every time the Corps does something, it makes it worse for us.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Administration? Thank you. I'll try to get with John Bartholomew and see what we could do.
Item 11E, District 7 update, Councilmember LaFrance. 1, discussion on the most severely affected areas from Hurricane Ida in District 7.
I just want to say, today I had the opportunity to meet with Senator Cassidy in Ironton. Well, he saw the destruction that we had, and I spoke to him about the destruction we had from Ironton all the way to West Point Lahash. He indicated that he's going to help us with the cleaning up and rebuilding of this area. He spoke about the infrastructure bill that's in Washington, D.C. We spoke about elevation grants, housing, levies. So, but again, it was glad to see him there. I know he tried to come the last time a couple of weeks ago, but he wasn't able to due to the weather. But he met with several residents in Ironton. So he asked me about FEMA. I told him it seemed like FEMA's moving a little slow. We need more help quicker than what we've been receiving it. Told him that many other people in Ironton had to rebuild their house probably, or remodel, or renovate, or so ever since Katrina, probably about 3-4 times already. I told him that we hear all the time that the people from this area, people around that area, is resilient. But I did tell him, I said, my people are tired. They are tired. They're not looking for a handout, but they're looking for a hand up. So I'm looking forward to working with Senator Cassidy and anybody involved that can help this community of West Point, Lahash, and Ironton. And that's it. Thank you. And thank all our employees. I know our employees. I know we work shorthanded, and I know some of our employees, they're working with substandard equipment. And but all to be said, we have some of the best employees, and I hope y'all can send an email out to our employees and let them know that we do appreciate everything that they do. Thank you.
Councilmember LaFrance, I had an email that came through on the website, or on the email. It's from James Hill at 724 Martin Lane in Happy Jack. He says, please have a District 7 update by Councilmember LaFrance on 1, the status of storm trash pickup, and 2, the road grading of Martin Lane, which is in bad shape. He also says, I would like to thank the council and the parish president and Belinda Hazel for the residential disaster reduction for my 2021 property tax savings of about $203 for my property. Thanks.
Can you let me know when that email came in? Because they graded off Happy Jack Road when yesterday or day before yesterday.
Yeah, it came this morning at 5 a.m.
Well, the road has been graded, and I do know that we did order some limestones, and I did talk to Joe Greco, and he said as soon as the limestone come in, that they are planning on putting limestone on the road once the limestone come in.
Need to get that road graded to keep going south.
Well, yeah, we can get it raised, we can get it, it is dedicated as a public road.
Uh-huh.
Item 11F, District 5 update, Councilmember Roussel. 1, update and discussion of the Fort St. Leon drainage project. 2, status of upgrades to the Belle Chase water plant and intake. 3, discussion and update on Plaquemines off-road vehicle track on Walker Road.
Yes, we've already talked about item number 2. Can we get the status of the project in Fort St. Leon?
The Fort St. Leon Drainage Project is scheduled to start advertising on November 21st.
Okay, and the off-road track on Walker Road, has anybody made any progress on trying to do that volunteer work? I guess not with the storm.
Not with the storm right now, plus, DEQ told us we had to shut down the track while we're doing vegetation, we're chipping vegetation debris
Okay.
on that site. Not on the track, but in that area.
All right, thank you.
Could move south to that four-wheeler track, and if you got volunteers wanting to do the work, across the street from the fort.
We'll work on it.
Item 11G, District 6 update, Councilmember Newberry. 1, status of debris pickup in Jesup Bend.
Yeah, thank you. This week, they've picked up debris up and down 23. I appreciate that. But I think what needs to be a priority is picking up the trash because it smells, it's heavy. When it rains, it's, just trash, furniture, could be appliances. I think those things, in my eyes, are more important than the debris. But of course, it all needs to be picked up. So I guess I'm asking you, is there any type of timeline on picking up the trash along 23 and maybe some neighborhoods?
The trash should be picked up. They picked up the vegetation, which is the
Right.
tree branches and stuff first, and
I
then they had a
appreciate
crew
that.
picking up the trash going south, hit refinery, and then come back north. And we also put out a white good. The contractor's gonna be picking up white goods on the West Bank. We told him Wednesday, so they should be putting crews out there to pick up the white goods.
Scott, I have a question. Sometimes in these neighborhoods, every now and then I'll go drive around and somebody will just throw a refrigerator or an item of furniture out. Is there any place on the website that they can post, hey, I'm putting out trash this week? Can the parish come, just to let y'all know that there's trash on that address? Because like you said, when the trash does their run and they don't go up and down every street, I mean, that takes a lot of time sometimes for one street. So is there any way that the public can go online to say, I'm putting out my trash here? That way the solid waste can say, this is the area I have to work in today. This is where all the trash is, instead of wasting gas, public gas, and time going up and down streets where there's no trash. So,
Oh, we haven't done that before. With the amount of employees we have now, we are shorthanded.
well, that's my point.
Right, so, if, we usually make a route, okay, and we try to go down, even if it's a low pile, they want their low pile picked up. So, we try to make the route done as soon as possible.
Well, I hope you
And-
take that suggestion into consideration. It would save us some time and money on a parish end. That way, we're not constantly going up and down neighborhoods, wasting manpower, time, and gasoline.
Okay.
Suggestion, thank you.
And on this section, same as the other ones, keep moving down the road, because I don't see nothing getting picked up down the road.
We got 4 crews, they supposed to be working down there, they said that Wednesday, and DOTD's supposed to be on the highway down that way. We don't control DOTD, the contractors, we can ask him to go. Like we told him, Highway 11, hit Highway 11 between Narren and, Home Place and all the way to the museum and the Booville River Road and all the main streets in between, so they're working at it. They may not be as fast, but they're working at it.
I know from the Empire Bridge South, I
Yeah,
haven't seen anybody pick up yet.
well, note that to DOTD too.
Thank you.
Item 11H, status of the Ladder and Bloom contract and the marketing of parish property. Councilmember Roussel.
No change, same questions. Hadn't seen that sign go up on the property over there yet.
Yeah, we haven't had an opportunity to do anything with putting up a sign to lease parish buildings on the complex.
Right, I thought that maybe you could get the realtor that we hired to have him do that.
Okay.
And I'll leave it at that. I know we got rid of 3 buildings today, but we still have plenty to go.
Yes, sir, we do.
Nothing on Port Eads?
I got a call from Drew Burrow with High Adventure the other day. They are still interested in doing something with Port Eads. We believe there are 2 other interested parties in Port Eads. We need to get together and draw up the RFP and put it out for bid and see if we get any takers.
And we're all on the same page that we're not giving it away for free this time?
Yes, sir, we are.
Thank you.
Item 11I, deferred.
Deferred. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Roussel, second by
Second.
Mr. LaFrance. Machine's open. And let the record show the council meeting's adjourned at 5:45 PM.